this is Twigs Greenpage. I wanted to do a color and chat today. This is going to be my very first one, so I hope it goes well. I'm going to pick, I have to pick a book to use today. I think I'm going to pick an image from the Nature Mandalas book. I did a page through the other day in the artist intro video, but I have not colored any images in this yet. So I'm very excited to give one a try. Let's see. Let's see. Ooh, the fruit one, that one kind of. So, and I wanted to show you, I keep all of my drawing stuff in this little suitcase. I got this at Hobby Lobby. You could get something like it anywhere. I liked it just because it kind of looked like a piece of furniture. And I have all my stuff in here. I got markers, my prismacolors, my sharpener, which I need to get a little thing to sharpen. These are gel pens, but that my daughter gave me. They used to actually be hers. I think a bunch don't work, however. And I bundle all of my prismacolors in kind of like color groups, just so it's easier for me to locate what I'm looking for. Then I got other markers, and these are watercolor pencils, which I might actually use those today. I haven't used those in a little bit. Those sound like fun. And then I have some random ones that I clearly forgot to put back where they're supposed to go. Got my watercolor colored pencil blender pen. So I'm just going to color this page and chat with you guys, and let's talk about art stuff, talk about how our weeks are going, pretty much anything. If there's something you guys want to chat about, feel free to reach out to me. And also, if you, I will put a copy of, I'll put a copy of this image in the description that you can pick up. I'll probably put it on Gumroad, and then you could color along with me if you want, and if not, that's fine. This book is also available on Amazon along with all my other books. So I thought maybe I would chat about why I started coloring. So I started coloring before I started making coloring books. Probably most people that make coloring books started coloring first, although I don't know that for a fact. I started doing it for the simple fact of the relaxation therapy of it. I started out as an oil painter, and I still do that. But oil painting can be very taxing and time-consuming and messy, and I'm disabled, so like I can't sit that long and be in that kind of a position, and sometimes the fumes would even get to me, which is kind of silly. They're not that bad. So finding something that I could really even just sit on the couch and do but still feel creative, and that I was getting that creative vibe out. A lot of times I'm sure you all know, when you have that creative part of your personality and you don't have a chance to express that somehow, you start to get crabby. I'm definitely one of those people. I need to be creating in some fashion all the time. Now, it doesn't have to be painting or coloring. It can literally be anything. I love all sorts of crafty stuff. I knit, I crochet. I haven't been doing it a lot lately, but I also used to build dioramas for my almost husband, who collects action figures. If you have any, maybe some of you can relate. He collects action figures, and he collects a lot of action figures. which honestly, it makes them happy. That's fine with me. Whatever makes you happy, you know what I mean? So I don't have a problem with that. However, we don't have enough shelving space to display them all. And even the ones that are displayed, they're just like sitting there. And I'm like, one day I was like, why don't you make like settings for them to like hang out in on the bookshelves? And he's like, oh my God, yeah, do that for me. You know how that goes. So I did. I started putting together some diorama sets. And ironically, we never got to making ones for the actual bookshelves. He started doing toy photography, and he uses all the dioramas for his pictures and stuff. So none of them actually stay on a bookshelf. None of them are even sized to go on a bookshelf. But it's kind of funny how those things pan out. So I mean, I was doing that for a while. I also do resin art. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of like they call it petri dish, like petri dish art for resin. You use alcohol ink and you mix it with resin in these coaster shaped molds, sort of. And where'd my marker go? And you mix it together and it makes these pretty images. It's pretty cool, actually. Actually, I love doing it, but I live in Florida, and it's super hot here in the summer, and my studio is out in the garage, so I was not able to do it during the summer. So now I'm just waiting for it to cool down so I can go back and get some stuff done. But in the meantime, that's kind of how I came to end up coloring, is because so I have all these other art things that I do, but it's hard physically to do them all the time. And then somebody bought me a coloring book and was like, hey, maybe this would be a solution for you. So I just want to see how this turns out before I do them all like that. And I loved it. I fell in love with just it's a relaxing process. I mean, you all know coloring it can be simple as you make it. It can be as detailed as you want to go. So it's not so much about the images to me. It's about, you can make it complex. You can make it easy. It doesn't really matter. And in the end, I think I'll make some limes maybe and some oranges just to like, you know, make it interesting. Maybe do like every other. That sounds like fun. I really need to find like a thing to, put all my shavings on. So that's how I started doing it. I have some anxiety issues that I've had for like, I don't know, almost 20 years at this point. And I've tried various things over the years and had success, you know, periodically for things. But it's like learning new habits, I think, is one of the hard, you know, I know meds are such a huge thing nowadays, and people are for them, they're against them, you know, everybody has an opinion. But to make some lifestyle changes and really learn how to relax and quiet your mind and just kind of be, I think that's one of the cool things about coloring. It can be I think especially for women, sometimes it's hard to shut down our brains and stop worrying about, you know, the family or the dogs or the money or the groceries or the, you know, how I'm going to get this done, how I'm going to get that done, whatever. And then you can just start coloring and it kind of just all fades away. That's what I like about it. It's hard to, at least for me, it's hard to worry about, oh, and then look, I was just going to do every other orange, and then I started doing this one lime. That's okay, I'll figure it out. And everything else goes away. For me, that's always been the difficult part, is coming up with activities that actually make the anxiety go away. But the only other thing that I really ever worked for me is reading, and that's hit or miss depending on if I can concentrate well enough to do it. Reading was something that I could really shut out the world. But that's not always easy if you have a house full of people and kids and animals. We have a lot of animals, by the way. I'm sure at some point you will get to meet many of them. I know we have a baby kitten. He was in one of the last videos because he decided he wanted to color too. Or we weren't even coloring. He was just, I was flipping through the pages, and he absolutely thought I was doing that for his benefit. As most little kittens, you know, he's very interested in everything that I'm doing all the time. I find it adorable. His name is Rory, and he is about, let's see, 4 months old now, I believe. And we have his mother. Her name is Emma. And actually, Rory, it's funny. So his whole name is Sir Gilbert Rory, Duke of Cabbage. My daughters came up with that name. And what's funny, my older daughter's 19. She loves royalty and all of that, so she thought that the cat needed a royal name, which is, I think it's adorable. And then his mom is Emma, and she's pretty cool. We actually rescued her from we were at a farmer's market. We were not in the market for another animal whatsoever, even in the least. And we were at this tiny little farmer's market, and this guy had these 2 kittens in a metal cage. And again, I live in Florida. It was 90-some degrees outside. He didn't have them in the shade. One person, another vendor at the moment, who we ended up taking, had that kitten out of the cage, and she was just she was trying to give her water through a straw to make her drink something. But they were very just like, you know, kind of lethargic, and oh my God, I was so angry. And I went to get a couple bottles of water, some cold ones, so that we could at least set them in the cage with the kittens. And when I came, you know, before I left, my fiance was like, you know, do you want that kitten? And I'm like, well, of course I want that kitten. I was like really mad. Like, of course I want that kitten. And I kind of thought it was mean, because I'm like, don't dangle the kitten in front of me. Like, he'd already put like a stop on getting more animals at that point. And when I came back, he had already bought her. So, you know, I was beyond shocked. It was so sweet. So then we were off to the pet store and got her a bunch of little kitten things. We also have I have a grown cat. His name is Snicket, after the books, Lemony Snicket. So I had some cat stuff, but he's primarily an outdoor cat. He comes inside. We have a dog door, but he likes it outside. That's where he chooses to live his best life. So we had to get some kitten stuff, and she sat in his arms the entire time, like we were in the pet store, like no collar, no nothing. She just chilled, wasn't scared of anything, no noises, wasn't scared of dogs, nothing. So she's pretty cool. Then we got her home, and I mean, at that point we hadn't even seen her walk yet. Like, you set her down and she would just lay there. I think she was so like overheated. She was covered in fleas and mats. It was horrible. So it took us about an hour to just cut the mats out of her fur. And we didn't have flea stuff yet. So we tried to give her a bath. Oh my God, that was a disaster. I'm not a good cat bather. She was, you know, scared, and I don't know how many fleas I ended up. I did the flea comb stuff, but then the next day I went and got her the flea stuff that you put on them. So she was fine, but so she was just a cute little fluff ball, and she doesn't have a tail. She's like an American bobtail, I think they're called, which is kind of funny. The guy that we got her from tried to say she was a Hemingway, or a half Hemingway, which they have the extra toes on their feet. She doesn't have any extra toes. She just has no tail. I don't know. I'm not really a cat expert. Our other cat, Snicket, he's a ragdoll. He's super cool. He's a pretty big cat too, but he's just not real. He likes to just do his own thing. And Emma goes outside too because of the dog door. So some of that, I wish our cats stayed inside. I think they would probably be more lovey if they stayed inside, but you don't really have that choice when you have a dog door. So the reason we have a dog door is because we have 5 dogs. And I'm in a wheelchair and stuff, so letting out 5 dogs all day long would be a bit of a headache. So the dog door for me is kind of a must. But yeah, again, we didn't set out to end up with 5 dogs. I don't know, does anybody set out to end up with 5 dogs? Unless you like live on a farm or something, which we definitely do not. I had 2 dogs, and my fiance had 1 dog when we met. And then right before we moved in together, one of my dogs passed away. So when we first moved in together, we had 2 dogs. His is a black lab named Bronxy, or Bronx. And mine's a Boston Terrier, and her name is Scarlet. And then within the first year, I can't remember exactly how long it was after we moved in together, maybe 6 months later or something like that. This dog literally wandered into our yard, a little gray and white floof ball. And we gave him water and stuff. We walked him around the whole subdivision, tried to find who his owner was. I posted all over Facebook and all the lost dog people and whatnot, and nothing, nobody. And which was strange is he looks like to be a Shih Tzu, and we took him to the vet. We scanned him and everything. He doesn't have a chip or anything. Somebody had just had him groomed, so somebody was taking care of him. But we looked for weeks, and then I didn't take him to the pound because I'm kind of against leaving them there if we're capable of taking care of them. So we just called the Humane Society every couple days to see if anybody, had been looking for him or reported him or, anything like that. And nobody ever looked for him. So to this day, we have no idea who his owners were. They have no idea how old he is, which is so weird when you have these pets and you're like, the age range they gave us was between 5 and 10. It's kind of a swing there. And they said the range was so big because his teeth were so bad. So they're like, he could just have bad teeth because maybe the people didn't take care of his teeth and maybe gave him only wet food or something like that. But or he could just be old and have really bad teeth. I don't know. He doesn't seem to have aged. We've had him for, I think, 3 years now. And I don't know. His teeth are still bad. But we've been working on getting them fixed over the last few years. But it's a process. So then he joined the family. And his name is now Mushu. So then we had 3 dogs. Then we moved. We bought a house. And then a while later I got my kitten. And then it was literally like 2 weeks later, I think, that I got my kitten, that this dog came walking up to my fiance in the driveway and put his head in his hands. So he comes in the house and he's like, there's a dog out there and he's loose and blah. And I'm like, well, did you get him? Like, let's at least, he had a collar on. I'm like, well, let's at least, see if we can find the owners or whatever. Maybe it's just somebody, we hadn't been here too long, so we didn't know everybody. And I'm like, well, maybe it's somebody close or whatever. He has a collar. Let's see. There was nothing on the collar, so that didn't do us much good. But so we get him on the leash or whatever. We give him some food and water. He looked really thin. he's some sort of hound dog. I don't even know what kind of dog he is, but he's a big dog. And when we first got him, he almost looked like he was some sort of hunting dog part like greyhound. He was super like narrow. So I go searching. In the process of me looking, somebody sees my post, and it's just like, I think I saw this lost dog, a picture of him from one of the pounds locally a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, well, how could that happen? Like, did the pound lose him, or like what? So she found the post, and I ended up calling that Humane Society, and they had the records. So they had picked him up, like animal control, and brought him in, and then the owners had found him and took him home. So then I got the owner's contact info and gave them a call. And you're wondering, how did I end up with this dog if I found the owners? Well, so we call them, and they're like, okay, we'll come pick him up. So like, we think that they're, immediately coming to come get him, because if I have a lost dog, that's what I'm doing. And they said they hadn't seen him in days. So he'd been gone for days. Turns out I don't really think they were looking for him either. So he takes him out to the car, and he comes back in the house, and he has the leash with him or whatever, but the people aren't leaving. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, they don't want him. And I'm like, what do you mean they don't want him? And he's like, they asked if we wanted to keep him. And he had fallen in love with his dog, like, the moment he put his head in his hands. Like, he may be the one that says we can't get any more animals, but he's the softie and keeps, like, allowing more animals into our house. It's kind of funny. And then I'm like, oh my God, like, we just got a cat, But I'm like, he just got me a cat, so, like, how can I say no to this dog, right? So we have dog number 4. Then my daughter, I don't know how long after that, we're talking like, I don't know, 6 months or so maybe. After that, my older daughter moved back in with us, with her fiance. And somewhere in there, they wanted a dog. And I was just like, well, you gotta talk to Pete about that. I'm not gonna be the one to okay like a 5th dog. And frankly, I thought he was gonna say no, because we have 4 dogs, So I didn't really think much of it and wasn't really worried about it. And lo and behold, he made a deal with them to do some stuff around the house and have some added responsibilities. And then he let them get this dog. So we have dog number 5, and his name is Pablo. He's actually a pretty cool story. He was a rescue dog from St. Thomas. They have some sort of island dog there. I never remember the name of it, but there's a name for him. And that's what he is. And he was heartworm positive, and so he went through treatment. And now he's all healthy. He just got his clean bill of health like last week. And ironically, they all get along really well. They all have hysterical personalities, and they drive me crazy, and I love them all at the same time. I'm sure that other animal owners can understand. It gets a little chaotic, so we have a couple that are barkers, and the littlest one is usually actually the one that gets everybody riled up, and then we have 2 that hardly bark at anything. So 3 will start barking their heads off, and the 3rd one is just looking at us like, I didn't do it. It's pretty cute. So we have this huge pack, and it's cool, but we could, we're kind of waiting to have less animals. When my daughter and stuff gets when they get on their feet, they're going to at least be taking Pablo, and they actually might take the little one, Mushu, too, because he was always her favorite. And so we'll see what ends up happening with that. But so we have 5 dogs, 3 cats, and various fish on a revolving basis, because we can't seem to keep the fish alive. Anybody has any suggestions for that, you let me know. We are now just cleaned out both of our fish tanks, and we are starting over. These little markers are some of my favorite things. I remember the first time I discovered these was back when scrapbooking was really big. Do you remember? I don't know if any of you scrapbook, but that was something that was right up my alley. And one of the things I did when I scrapbooked was, and I still have them all. I should actually pull them out and use them for something. I keep meaning to, but I got like, I don't know, probably a couple hundred stamps that you could make little embellishments and stuff. You'd make the stamp, and then I would color them with, not these ones, but I had different watercolor pencils, and that's how, I'd color in the stamped images. You just had to make sure that you used non-water soluble ink when you did the stamps or whatever. It was so fun. I was like totally addicted to scrapbooking. I can only imagine how many like hundreds of dollars I spent on that. And then it kind of, I had some friends that we had a scrapbooking store that every Friday night, I forget what they called it, if it was like a scrapathon or something like that. I have a horrible memory. And what was so cool and bad at the same time is you would, they had a back room with all these tables, and you would set up all your scrapbooking back there, and it started at, I can't remember, like 5 or 6 in the afternoon, and it would go till midnight. You'd bring snacks and stuff like that. I don't even think we brought alcohol. I don't remember alcohol being there, but there was definitely snacks and stuff. And what you would do is whenever you needed, I need some brads, or I need some ribbon, or, whatever you discovered you needed at the last minute, lo and behold, the store was open all night. So all you had to do was get up and walk the 10 feet into the front of the store, and you could, buy whatever you wanted. And they would actually just keep a tab for you at the front of the store, and then you paid at the end of the night. So sometimes it was a little dangerous. You'd end up, you could easily walk out with $20, $30, $40 worth of stuff that night that you didn't even intend on buying. So it was kind of a genius plan by the store. But they were super sweet, super nice. And then what was so cool about it is everybody scrapbooks very differently. Some people do it very simplistic. Some are more detailed, and I was maybe on, I was definitely not the most extravagant, but I was more, I'm more artsy than some of the people were, and, tended, I don't know, did put a little more detail and stuff into a bunch of my stuff, and it had more like the drawing stuff, that kind of thing. But what was so cool about it is there was like 20 or so women there every week, and you could go around and look at everybody else's stuff and get so many cool ideas. And you could also, we would swap things with each other. So like if you only needed, like this one piece of ribbon, or that, 3 bronze brads, or, a certain stamp you wanted to use or whatever. Some things we would, let each other use, and that was a great resource. And it was a cool situation. I've actually thought about that would be a cool coloring thing, to have like just a coloring group that got together, kind of like a book club. I don't know if people have those or not, but I thought that would be a cool situation. I actually have some of my resin work up in a local boutique here, and they do little classes, and I was like, I wonder if they would be interested in something like that. Just having a coloring group, and then like included in the group could be one of my books or something, and then I could bring a bunch of coloring tools, and everybody just hang out for an hour. I don't know, would anybody be interested in something like that? Or do you know of stuff like that already happens? I don't know, that sounds cool to me. Just something that, and it doesn't have to only be for women, but it's cool to have little get-togethers. I think especially you get to a certain age, and it's not as easy for adults just to make friends. That would be a cool little outing to be social for a little bit and relax and have some laughs and color. I'll have to look into that. See if anybody else is doing something like that. So I'm not a big, I don't even know what brand these are Master's Touch. So in general, I'm not a huge brand person or snob, you know what I mean? I really do like my Prismacolors. I discovered those in college, and actually a little before my brother had some, but really started using them in college and just kind of fell in love with how soft they are. I love the blendable quality of them. I'm a very sketchy artist, so everything is very loose and stuff like that. So the Prismacolors really lend themselves well to that, and I really like that. But if you can find something, you know, more affordable, although the prices of the Prismacolors seem to come down a lot, and now that they're available at places like the Hobby Lobby and you can get one of those coupons, that's what I always do. I wait until I can either have a 50% off coupon, or a lot of times, you know, everything goes on sale there on a pretty regular rotation, and that's how I get them. I don't pay full price usually for anything. Well, I shouldn't say that. I get a lot of stuff on Amazon. Sometimes I don't have the patience, or they don't always have the exact line you're looking for, or whatever. So I shouldn't say that. I do get a lot of stuff on Amazon. I like things getting just delivered to my door. We kind of have a problem with that in our house. Nobody ever remembers what they ordered, and I swear, like, the mailman or UPS man is almost here every day delivering something. It's kind of interesting, the culture that Amazon has helped create with the no need to leave your house and you can have pretty much anything. And actually, look, they have a lot of Prismacolors on there too. I have some links in my description for some supplies that I use, and I'll try to remember to put a link for these pencils too. I know I don't have that because I couldn't even remember what brand they were. That's funny. I'll see if I can find them on there. But whatever you can use, you know what I mean? Whatever you can afford. If you can afford just whatever, some generic brand at Target. I know also Amazon does have a Amazon brand that's affordable of colored pencils. I've heard that those are actually pretty decent. I have not tried them yet. I should try getting some and test them out. But I know a lot of people use Crayola. A lot of people even use crayons. What I did want to get, I want to get some glitter gel pens. These gel pens that I have are not glitter. I feel like glitter is good on everything. If I can find an excuse to put glitter on something, I will absolutely do it. So I think these are turning out super cute. Lately, I haven't been using my markers as much. I've been using either the watercolor pencils or my Prismacolors. I like the blendy quality of the watercolor. It's just so easy to take the marker and just blend it all together. I don't know. I love that. I also love seeing everybody's different color style. So these I'm doing pretty realistically. Well, I mean, it's coloring, but you know, like realistic colors and whatnot. So my paintings are a lot of times more impressionistic and not necessarily realistic colors. Some of my colorings are the same way. I did some Boston Terrier ones that are all funky colors. I like mixing it up. I love seeing how other people color. It's definitely its own art form. But it also doesn't have to be complicated. I guess that's what I love about it. It can be anything. It can be super detailed or just not. I'm going to see if I can find a lighter pink. Oh, I got some floating on the bottom. There we go. I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, I love watching those people that do the realistic portrait colorings. And hair is one of my, I don't even have a lot of images with people's in them or anything, but watching the people do hair, I love that. It's like, it's fascinating. I can't even tell you how many hours of YouTube I've watched of various art things. I think my biggest obsession for a while was those what are they called now? The acrylic paintings with you put the paint together and you dump them on there, the dirty pours, I think what they're called. Oh my god, I was obsessed with it. I would watch hours and hours and hours of them, and then somehow I got into the resin, which is, by the way, is not the same thing, and started watching those. But oh my god, I still get a kick out of watching the my stomach's growling. The acrylic pour ones, I could watch them for hours on end. And you never know how they're going to turn out. It's like the beauty of it. So now I'm into the coloring thing, and I could watch hours of that too. I think it's just so cool to see all the different kinds of books everybody has. I mean, I make my own books, so those are the ones that I'll probably color for the majority of the time. But I mean, I'd be I'd be open to coloring other people's books as well. So if you're an artist and you want me to color something or what have you, I'd be more than willing to do that on the channel. Yeah, but I love watching the flip throughs too. Like, where did you find that book and where did you get that book? And there's so many from even different countries, and all the hardcover books, and of course you got a couple of your famous artists out there, and that's awesome. But there's so many obscure artists, and it's just, I think it's fascinating, and I think it's super cool that these artists have found this outlet. You know, it's kind of like a new, I mean, coloring books aren't new, but it feels like a new outlet for artists to get some of their work out there. I've actually been trying to figure out a way. I have a bunch of oil paintings. My almost husband also paints. I did put out a bunch of journals with our paintings on them, but like, I was trying to find a way to. I've fooled around with it a little bit, but I don't like the result yet of turning our paintings into coloring pages, because we both paint very impressionistic. And it's just a little different when you want to somehow try to keep that feel of the paint, but making the coloring page. So I'm still working on that. But I will let you know when I figure it out. So that's what I've been doing. So anyone interested as well, I make, these drawings. I mean, I make drawings in all different ways and on all different apps and stuff like that. But these drawings were made in Procreate on my iPad with a stylus, but not an Apple Pencil. I don't even have an Apple Pencil yet. I've been saving my pennies. I wanted to see what the cheaper ones, how they worked first. I'm always trying to, I buy so many art supplies that I'm always trying to save a little bit here and there where I can. Or I already have like a entire art store in our house, I swear. So I have to try to save where I can. if at all possible. But yeah, I actually watched a couple, I wish I could remember her name now. I watched a couple of classes on Skillshare on how to use Procreate. I am not good at all the computer art stuff. It's just, I'm much more of a fine artist, and I have to work very hard to learn the design programs. I know a little bit how to use Illustrator, and I can use Canva a little bit, which isn't really, I don't even know if you know, it's kind of a design program. And that's about it. I don't even know I have Photoshop. I don't know how to use it. And even half the time when I use Illustrator, I have to go on YouTube and like Google and search exactly the thing I'm trying to learn how to do. YouTube has like changed my life creatively. Like at the, you know, at your fingertips, you have access to pretty much any art technique you can dream of. Somebody on YouTube has put a video out on it, which I find just fascinating. So I've learned a lot that way. Which is funny, I did go to art school when I was in college, but you know, they didn't teach me how to use Procreate. So anyway, Skillshare was an awesome place to learn how to use some of the technical stuff. So I watched that, and then I just started playing with my iPad, and I learned how to make I still have to learn how to say the word. I don't know if it's Mandala or Mandala, but I learned how to make them, and now I'm kind of obsessed with them. Just kind of using, I love putting everyday imagery in them, not just complete designs. I mean, I have some that are just designs too, but I don't know. It brings me joy. It makes me smile. And I feel like if it makes me smile, it's going to make somebody else smile somewhere. So I hope they appeal to somebody. I mean, that's the point of all this. You know what I mean? Just find your smile. Find what makes you happy. I mean, if it's coloring, great. If it's, you know, throwing paint against a canvas, like, go for it. Like, whatever it is. In our house, we're very much about kind of leaning into whatever your stuff is. So whatever you like, that's awesome. Own it. You know what I mean? Don't be ashamed of your hobbies. You know, be as big of a geek as you'd like. I feel like that's a lot more acceptable nowadays than it used to be. Like, you know, back when we were kids, the Dungeon and Dragon kids were kind of shunned, and now it's like you're cool if you play Dungeon and Dragons and you know how to cosplay and all of that. At least in our world, we actually did MegaCon here in Orlando one year. We had a booth set up for diorama stuff and for toy photography. It was a really fun experience. I mean, it was exhausting because that's like a 4-day ordeal and all the setup, and I mean, oh my god, it was a lot of work. Like I give kudos to all the people that have booths at Comic-Con and all those kind of things. Like that is a lot of work and energy that goes into setting up those things. The same with art fairs. Those are, like, I've been wanting to do. There's some really cool ones in Orlando here, and I had a booth once at one of them. Oh, that's got to be like 7 years ago for, of all things I made out of duct tape. I made duct tape creations to fund my daughter going to Europe, and she traveled with a group called People to People, which I don't even know if they exist anymore. and it cost, you know, a couple $1,000s to do that. And we raised a big chunk by doing the duct tape stuff. That was a cool idea, and it was all my daughter's idea. She was really into the duct tape stuff. But when it came to mass producing that much of it, guess who wasn't as interested in it anymore? So I spent many hours sitting there making duct tape wallets and duct tape purses and pens. I made these really super cute, well, I thought they were super cute, pens that had like duct tape palm tree leaves coming off of them. There was wire in them. I went a little crazy. It was fun. But I've been wanting to do another one even with our paintings, or I don't even know if I was thinking of maybe the coloring books. I don't know if they would let us in with the coloring books because that's not really handcrafted, but like even though I made the designs, I don't know how that would work. I'll have to ask if anybody's ever done anything like that or seen anything like that. Let me know. But I thought that would be fun. But the amount of energy and work that goes into setting up these booths is, I mean, it's incredible. And then you don't know how the weather's going to be, and you worry about your stuff getting stolen or damaged because you don't pack it all up every night. You kind of batten down the hatches and hope for the best. So I don't know. I would like to attempt something like that. It's one of the things though in Florida. It's also, I don't deal with the heat well here, and there's one in November, and even November it can still be in the 90s. I am a Midwest girl, and I would like some cold weather, please. That's all I got to say about that. I never thought I would actually say that I miss my Wisconsin winters, but I do. Very much. We went back, I think it was 2 years ago now, for Christmas, and they were having an incredibly cold winter. It was like -14, and it was very cold. And it felt cold, but it was like refreshing because it's so hot here all the time. And then other people are like, how can you complain about that much sunshine? I'm like, you know, sometimes you just want a cloudy day. Like, no joke. Just give me some clouds. Give me some overcast. Not that I should complain because we just had the hurricane come through, but I mean, it didn't even hurt us, so. Oh, whoops. I colored up my highlight. I feel like it doesn't have to be perfect. Oh. Well, I got all the fruit done. I think it's looking pretty cool. So now I have to figure out what I'm gonna do in the background. And you know what? Oh, I can quick do the leaf on the cherry. So I think that this is all I'm gonna do on the chat today. And because you know what? I don't know what I want to do in the background. So I'm gonna tell you about a problem I have. Whenever I do colorings with designs like this in the background, any kind of like pattern, I love patterns. But I have a problem, I have a problem of them always becoming rainbow. Like, I have a pattern and suddenly I need to use every pencil that I own. And it turns into this rainbow thing, which is fun and cute sometimes. But sometimes I would love to be able to self-control to not let it turn into a rainbow, which I would really like to attempt on this one. But I'm just not sure what color I want to make it. So I could, you know, pick like even a monochromatic theme, like all purples in the background here and all blues there or something like that. I don't even know. Or all blues up here might be good. I don't know. See, it's the decisions. In the end, does it really matter? Not really. But I still want it to look pretty. And I want the fruit to still pop so they don't get lost. And that's kind of what happens when I start going so rainbowy often. I lose sight of the little objects, and I want to try to get better. We all should try to get better at whatever. Or just not saying you have that problem, but I definitely do. And also keep in mind your complementary colors. I'm sure most of you know what your complementary colors are, but so like red is, if you have a color wheel, I don't have a color wheel on me, I should print one out. On the color wheel, red is opposite of green, so they're considered complementary colors. And when you put them next to each other, depending on what tones you use, it'll make the other color pop out. So if I put a red outline around my limes, it would make the lime pop more. Orange and blue are complementary colors, and then yellow and purple are complementary colors. So it can kind of help too if you have a color wheel. You can kind of pick colors that you put next to each other that will pop more, if that's what you're trying to accomplish. I'm gonna see if these will blend a little. I don't know if I remembered to do these over here. It does not look like it. See, I get too busy chanting, and then I don't pay attention to what I'm doing. How unusual. Pretty much like real life. So I hope you all have enjoyed today's chat in color. And remember that I put a link to download this image in the description, and you can get that for free. And then the entire printable book is available on Amazon. I might actually put a digital version that you can purchase too, where I put the free one. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't actually used Gumroad a lot, so I have to figure out how to do that first, but you can learn with me. So I hope everybody has enjoyed today, and please check back for more videos soon, and I will try to keep a steady flow of content coming for you guys, because I would love to get to know you. Please drop some comments, and please come join our Facebook group and post some of your own colorings and just introduce yourself. I give some free stuff away in there as well, and I'd love to meet you. So everybody remember to create a colorful life. That is my artistic life motto.